Blizzard has been constantly updating Hearthstone recently. There has been patch after patch balancing all of the problem cards of Hearthstone. When implementing the most recent change, Kael'thas Sunstrider was one of those cards on the chopping block. Kael'thas Sunstrider was nerfed from costing 6 mana to costing 7 mana, but was that truly enough? Is Kael'thas still going to be as powerful and uninteractive as it was in the past? Or will it start to fall off like so many cards do when they get nerfed? Today we are going to take an in-depth look at what the nerfs to Kael'thas did and didn't do. Before we begin to dive in, make sure to subscribe to the Tempo Storm Hearthstone YouTube channel for all the latest and greatest Hearthstone content. That's enough for the formalities. Let's take a look at this deck-defining card. Before we actually start talking about the implication of the nerf, let's talk about why Kael'thas needed to be adjusted in some form or fashion. Kael'thas in the right deck, especially Druid, can create some of the most insane turns. Druid has access to so many 0 mana spells that it will almost always be a problem. Druid also has some very powerful draw cards in the form of Overflow and Nourish. This combination of 0 mana spells and large powerful draw spells creates a recipe for disaster. The design team has to account for any large spell they want to print for Druid. I mean, imagine if Ultimate Infestation was currently in Standard, things would be getting way too out of control. Now, this doesn't just extend to Druid. Other decks can afford to play Kael'thas if future cards come out to support a combo-style gameplay. Classes like Demon Hunter and Mage have already shown that they too have the capability to pull off powerful combos or even one-turn kills. This becomes a massive problem, as combo OTK decks are generally viewed as uninteractive and just not fun to lose to. No player really wants to die at 20 to 30 health and feel like they couldn't have done anything to prevent it from happening. That's something that Kael'thas can create, the feeling of powerlessness in a Hearthstone game. So what did changing Kael'thas to 7 mana do in a positive way? First off, in combo decks like OTK Demon Hunter, it changes the turn that they can pull off combos. This can be very important as it allows aggressive decks an extra turn to beat their opponent before they actually lose to the combo. Aggro decks should generally have a good matchup against greedy combo OTK decks. This change does help out in this regard. Secondly, it can reduce the craziness inside of a Kael'thas turn. Sometimes as a combo deck, you need to go in a turn preemptively to make a play that gives you the best chance of winning the game. These turns, if played properly, can really change the whole outcome of the game. This is most reminiscent of when you see an OTK Demon Hunter begin to play Kael'thas and use its ability to draw cards with Skull of Gul'dan in hopes of ending the turn with cards drawn from the deck. Now that Kael'thas costs 7 mana, it makes these turns much more difficult for the deck. One thing they kept which can be argued as a plus is that they didn't change the core effect of the card. Some nerfs in the past have almost changed the core identity of a card. The biggest example most players remember is Warsong Commander. This card went from meta-defining to probably one of the worst warrior cards they have to offer. It's difficult to change the core effect of a card without making it quote-unquote unplayable. Players may have been relieved to think that their favorite card was not gutted like cards of the past. Naturally, we feel as if there is a major dilemma with the Kael'thas nerf. It doesn't truly address the inherent issue with the card. That issue is that it can theoretically go infinite, or at least for quite some time. It doesn't actually change the power level of the card for most combo OTK decks. Most decks that revolve around a particular card, in this case Kael'thas, don't necessarily mind what the card costs. As long as they can perform the combo, it doesn't actually matter how much the card cost. In the case of Druids, they couldn't even truly go off with Kael'thas unless they had 7 mana in the first place. A lot of Druids cards do not become active until that point, like Bogbeam and Ironbark, so moving the card to 7 mana doesn't address these inherent problems. This can restrict the development team in the future for any cool, wacky, expensive spells they may want to create. If they create something similar to Overflow or Ultimate Infestation, you can see where it becomes a problem. It's really difficult to say what an appropriate change is to a card this powerful and with this much potential. You want to keep the core flavor of the card intact without making it a piece of garbage. The design team most likely thought about all of these possibilities we're about to mention, but these could be some suggestions. Instead of the 3rd spell, it gets changed to the 4th spell. This means that it still has strong potential turns in decks like Druid, but makes its potential much smaller. However, this most likely could kill the card. You could also change it to only be the first 3rd spell is free. This creates a powerful turn in combo decks that doesn't keep going and going. Druid can still use 2 free spells and Overflow, but it wouldn't result in a board of 2/2s with Death Rattle summoning more 2/2s on top of that first initial play. play. Now, of course, it's very easy to say that these would be appropriate changes, but ultimately both changes suggested could kill the card and not make it even worth having in your collection. Kael'thas does have the potential to be another problem in the near future. However, the Hearthstone development team has done a magnificent job addressing problems and reacting to them accordingly. Currently, it doesn't look to be as if Kael'thas is stirring up trouble. If Kael'thas does start causing trouble, I'm sure they will come to the rescue and address the problem. Do you think that the Kael'thas nerf wasn't enough? Do you think it was just right? What would you change to make it more balanced? Go ahead and leave a comment down below answering any of these questions. We'd love to hear all of your opinions. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Tempo Storm Hearthstone YouTube channel for more in-depth videos like these. Thanks again for watching.